All right, y'all, we're going to take a look at this boudoir photography business today. See if we see that it has BSS, aka boudoir search sameness, with these two Google searches here. All right, so we're out here in the GBC universe again, where we bring declining boudoir photographers to the #1 boudoir photographer in their city. As always, our North Star is FSIC, aka full spectrum intent capture. More on that, pinned video, home video on the profile, whatever. And that's because FSIC explains why all boudoir photographers either rise or fall. So we got our intent spectrum here, in white, high on the left, low on the right. And if a boudoir photographer is rising, they're probably bringing in peeps from the entire intent spectrum, from high intent to low or no intent. At least bringing them in awareness, even if they're low or no intent, awareness that we exist. And if we have a boudoir photographer business that's falling, they're probably missing chunks somewhere here on the intent spectrum. So here we talk about BSS. We're way over on the left side. Highest intent peeps. This is social search and Google search. I search on social networks for boudoir photo shoot in my city. See on Google search, the highest intent keyword searches. And over on the right, that's our other sister brand, different profiles, Boudoir, FB, Ad, Doctor. So we're talking about BLCS. Talking about BLCS, kind of a niche problem there, niche pain. And right now we currently only deal with boudoir photographers running more than 10 grand a month on boudoir Facebook ads. And that side on the right, that's the lowest intent peeps, interruption ads, Facebook, Instagram. They have no intent for boudoir right now. Next, moving on, we got BSS, boudoir search sameness. That's what it is. That means a boudoir photographer has either 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google. So 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google. If we got 0 slots, we're basically dead because we have, we've already talked about approximately 80% of Google searches never reach page 2. They're page 1 only searches. So approximately 80% of searches, aka the bulk of the market, is page 1 only. So from page 2, we're basically dead. Page 1, that's if we got 1 slot on page 1, that's still not enough. If there's not, there's 10 organic slots. There's one or one out of, if there's 9 other boudoir photographers, everyone else got 1 slot, then a buyer's just, clicking down all of page 1, basically never gonna go to page 2. Open up everyone's website, gonna compare, contrast, price shop all these boudoir photographers. And as a result, we're still basically invisible because we're being price shopped so much. So we know that 0 1 slots on page 1 of Google is not normal. Common, but it's not normal, dude. It's not normal to have that many, those few slots on page 1, when Google actually wants to give us way more to those that want to take them. So 0 1 slots on page 1 Google is not normal is actually the symptom of 2 deeper root causes. Those 2 deeper root causes are market saturation, which basically everyone understands, but also newly, the false belief of page 1 equality, which basically nobody understands yet. So market saturation, that seems like every week someone get a new iPhone, we see them throwing out their Google My Business profile, their website. Now they say they do boudoir, they're a boudoir photographer. Or they get a new camera, they're posting in the mom groups, they also do boudoir photo shoots now. So that's market saturation. Also, COVID, tons of new peeps came into the marketplace because nobody could work, people lost their jobs. But again, everyone's got a phone with a great camera, so bringing in a ton more peeps to become boudoir photographers. Now, the false belief of page 1 equality, this is a big one. This is what I've seen is the #1 killer boudoir photography businesses. This is where everyone, well, if everyone believes it, kind of automatically, implicitly, this is where, they're kind of like, everyone gets either 0 1 slots on page 1 of Google. And so, I had, a slot number 8 on Google. The boudoir photographer ranked above me. I got kicked down to slot 10. And, it is what it is because every boudoir photographer gets either 0 or 1 slots on Google. And there's basically nothing I can do about it. This is 100% incorrect. Google actually will give as many page 1 slots as possible to those who actually want the page 1 slots. And I know this because I went from 0 out of 10 slots on page 1 to 9 out of 10 slots on page 1 Google organic search in 10 days. So I know Google gives these slots out to the people that want to take them. And as a result, if people believe this page 1 equality is true, then they never kind of break out of the box and look for solutions. And, well, there were no real good solutions before, but now we got one, which you'll see that in two pictures from here. So we also know that boudoir photographer with BSS, with boudoir search sameness, is a disappearing boudoir photographer, a DBP. So our micro-universe taking shape, a disappearing boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness is caused by the two horns of market saturation and the false belief of page one equality. Thankfully, though, we finally have a solution. We know that BSS is treated with social search saturation, aka S-cubed methodology. And how do we know that? Because we invented it. And so it works exactly as it says. S-cubed methodology, social search saturation. We saturate social search with our highest intent, highest demand keywords for highest intent buyers, what they would be searching on Google. To saturate social search, so we show up for all those. It's kind of like the backside of the Andes Mountains, all the small streams and rivers, then flow into the large Amazon River. These then eventually all flow into Google, page one Google search. But the initial upstream is ranking high, page one social search across all the four major social networks. Now, S-cubed methodology, this is the only thing that I've seen that can successfully, for boudoir photographers, it's the only thing I've seen that can successfully fight back against market saturation. Literally the only thing. And as a result, we, basically as a result, that's the only thing that gets us results relatively quickly, because the only other thing I've seen actually successfully outcompete is market saturation having a brand, but dude, that takes like 5 years minimum, more like 10 years. So because AI is coming, taking people's jobs, we ain't got 5 or 10 years anymore. We got to move ASAP, 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 and S-cubed methodology is that vehicle. So, imagine we got 1 million boudoir photographers in Omaha, Nebraska. We're one of them. Everyone's got a website saying they're boudoir photographers. Everyone's ranking there. And as a result, we are competing with all these boudoir photographers for page one. So we say, you know what? Screw this. The only chance we got of competing here is cranking S-cubed methodology up to the max. And luckily, I was working with no one else in Omaha, so you could actually hire me. So we crank it up to the max, and let's say we are successfully, we're ranking the first 300 slots, page one of, search in all these social networks. Well, not even page one, dude. That's like a lot more pages than page one, but the first 300 slots, we're taking them up. And as a result, we are, there's a small rivers that flow into page one Google. So we're taking the first 300 organic slots on Google as well. And there's 10 organic slots per page. So we're literally taking the first first 30 pages, all the organic slots from them. And so anytime anyone in our city searches with boudoir photographer with those high intent keywords, they are basically anywhere they look. They're basically only finding us. Now, for organic search, they could go to page 31 to essentially start finding our competitors. But dude, we already know approximately 80% of Google searches never even hit page 2. They're page 1 search only. So who the heck's hitting page 31? Basically nobody. So as a result, even though there are 999,999 other boudoir photographers and us competing against us, since we captured social search and Google search for the highest intent keywords, we're basically the only one that's being found. So whose business is the only one growing as a result? Our business. Out of all million boudoir photographers. So that's what we mean what I mean when I say this is the only thing I've discovered other than brand that can successfully compete against market saturation. Compete against and still grow the business. Now, once we treat BSS with S-cubed methodology, we have page one visibility. And boom, we get an instant bonus benefit, an initial benefit, which is for every new slot we acquire on page one, we're actually kicking a competing boudoir photographer off page one, effectively making them invisible. So this is awesome because, hey, we're getting more slots on page one. We get, more of, out of 10 attention because there's 10 slots, increasing our attention. But actually, we're decreasing our boudoir photographers we're competing against because we're kicking a new one off every time we rank another, we get another slot on there. That's an initial benefit initially right off the bat using S-cubed methodology. Now, page one visibility activates boudoir search visibility for us. BSV, we have a GBC minimum here, recommended minimum of reaching 3 out of 10 slots on page one Google search because basically everyone else will have 1 slot. So if Google's recommended us 3 times, well, buyers can be like, well, what the hell? Why is Google recommend this person? They must be good. They may even click to us, only us, and not even look at the other options on page one. But in addition, there's a tiny chance another boudoir photographer has 2 slots on page one. So if we got 3 slots, we're out competing everyone that has 0, 1, or 2 slots on page one of Google search. Now we also know that boudoir photographer with BSV, with boudoir search visibility, is a visible boudoir photographer, a VBP. So we got our full micro universe here. A disappearing boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness is caused by the two horns of market saturation and the false belief of page one equality. Now, we use S-cubed methodology. We finally have a solution. Thank the universe. Page one visibility. We achieve page one visibility. We become a visible boudoir photographer with boudoir search visibility. Now, my results. So myself, purely using S-cubed methodology, I'm going to rank for the term BLCS boudoir. And come down to organic. Organic results, we got organic slot 1, Instagram, me. Organic slot 2, me. Slot 3, me. Slot 4, me. Slot 5, me. Slot 6, me. Slot 7, me. Slot 8, me. And slot 10 is also me. And I did this in 10 days. I went from 0 out of 10 slots, Google Organic, page 1. And I got up to 9 out of 10 slots, Google Organic, page 1, in only 10 days. So these are my own results utilizing S-cubed methodology. So now we're going to look at this boudoir photography business. Going to check. So all this is based on the Google page 1 searches here. So we got these 2 Google searches. Let's check these out. So first one, we got boudoir photographer. Is that the first one? No, I think. Oh no, St. Augustine should be the first one. I got to do St. Augustine here. Boudoir photography, St. Augustine. St. Augustine. And there we go. All right. So let's see what we got here. Look for a supernova. There we go. So we got they got 1 slot. And all right, we got 2 slots here. Wedding wire. Yeah. We do not have BSS, so we got 2 slots here. That's fine. That's good. We perfect. Now we've not hit the GBC minimum. We want to have 3 out of 10 here, but hey, we do not have BSS for the search, so that's good. Now we want to hit the GBC 3 out of 10 minimum because that's kind of the only safe time we can say, hey, we're not going to disappear, we're not going to decline. We may not grow, but we'll probably at least tread water. So no BSS, but we're not hitting the GBC minimum of 3 out of 10 here. Let's check our Jacksonville, Florida. All right, so still looking for the same supernova. So we got 1. And nope. All right, none of these are specifically about us only. We got 1 out of 10. So we got BSS for the second search at Jacksonville, Florida. Bigger city. So BSS is more common in the bigger cities, obviously, more keyword competition. So we do not have BSS for St. Augustine, Florida. That's good, but we did not meet the GBC minimum of 3 out of 10. But we do have BSS for the Jacksonville, Florida search, and we also did not hit the GBC minimum of 3 out of 10. You're just a boudoir photographer, and you've done a local search for yourself with a high intent with boudoir keywords, and you have also done the same for the city search, and you've had BSS for 1 or both those searches, or you've not hit the GBC recommended minimum 3 out of 10. Page 1 Google searches for 1 or both of those searches. And you've accepted and you know and you see now that the false belief of page 1 equality is exactly that false. Google actually wants to give as many page 1 links to us as possible as we want to take. And so you're saying, well, that's exactly what I'm looking for. S-cubed methodology is my only way forward. You're liking the initial benefit. One of the initial benefits, which is more slots page 1 on Google for the highest intent buyer keywords. Liking the second initial benefit, which is which is kicking more competing boudoir photographers off page 1, effectively making them invisible to approximately 80% of the marketplace. So making them disappear and eventually making them go out of business. And you're also liking, you're understanding the market saturation. People get new gear, over time, more boudoir photographers enter. This market slowly gets more and more saturated. But now you're looking ahead and you're saying, wow, AI is going to be taking a ton of people's jobs. So you're seeing that and you're like, okay, actually there's going to be a larger and larger flood of people coming in to be boudoir photographers as AI takes more people's jobs. So you're thinking ahead and you're like, all right, I got to fortify my position on page 1. I can't simply dominate. I got to fortify it. I got to have like so many backup links that Google wants to rank on page 1, but we only got 10 slots, so like Google literally cannot rank all my links there. And I need to do that so that current boudoir photographers can no longer rank on page 1, and also guarantee future boudoir photographers that come in from AI taking their jobs will also no longer be able to rank on page 1. And you're saying S-cubed methodology is the only solution to deliver that as well. And you're liking the future benefits, kind of longer term, which are kind of the longer every single day we successfully execute SQ methodology, what we're actually doing is we are increasing the probability that we're kind of building up these invisible thematic keyword columns attached to our brand, our business name, our website, our social handles, out in like the invisible AI mindshare space. So we're kind of putting these columns like in our like the Parthenon in Athens, Greece, or like spokes, on our bike tire going to the central hub, which is our brand. We're putting all these spokes or columns attached to us. And what this does is this increases the probability that we show up here, AI overview, right at the top, the most premium placement. We cannot buy this AI overview with Google PPC ads. So every day we successfully execute this, we increase probability we're shown here in premium placement, no ad cost, and guarantees our competitors does not get it. And also, since we're building up this AI mindshare, we increase the probability AI search services recommend us as well. So we're talking ChatGPT search, Claude, Perplexity, Microsoft Copilot, Google Gemini. Every day we successfully execute methodology. We're actually building these invisible thematic keywords on our around our brand. And as a result, we're increasing the probability every single day AI search recommends us when someone's looking for a boudoir photographer in their city through AI search app. And Google right now is still approximately 9% of global search, but AI search is growing every single day. Last time I did AI search for boudoir photographers in a city, it was gave me 3. And I actually went to like Google for those searches, and dude, I found like 60. Like, dude, if AI's only recommended 3, we need to get onto those 3 by any means possible. And I believe studying this, understanding it, that it's this back end AI mindshare. Gotta build momentum into it. Frequency, repetition, relevance, authority, age. These all factor in, kind of all weighted on the AI search backend. And the final thing you're thinking about, can build a brand, estimated 8x faster. And also, you understand my current plan is to only work with one boudoir photographer per city. So you've decided to be a first mover because you want to box out your competitors, ensure that they don't get access to this, and then you can actually essentially guarantee a massive gap between you and your current boudoir photographers and any future boudoir photographers that will be coming from AI taking people's jobs. And as a result, build a massive back-end AI mindshare momentum for showing up the highest probability with AI search. And you also understand the converse, which is if a competing boudoir photographer, jumps on this before you, then we'd be building that momentum, getting all those benefits for them. You'd have a higher chance getting kicked off page 1 of Google, going on to page 2 to deeper pages, losing. You're becoming a disappearing boudoir photographer, or more disappearing if you currently are already there, and actually slowing, basically on the path to the boudoir photography business disappearing. Plus, you'll be building up this massive back-end AI mindshare for search momentum with your competitor. And so what you'd have to do is you'd have to go rederive, or actually derive for the first time, S-cubed methodology. And you would never actually truly know if you derived it correctly. Then you'd have to go and execute on S-cubed methodology every single day. And when you do all that, you're simply maintaining the gap, meaning your competitor continuously building every single day. So you'd actually have to double or triple our S-cubed methodology output every single day to close that gap, pull the AI mindshare momentum away from me and your competitor and towards you for the backend AI mindshare for higher probability of recommendations in AI search. And like, you would never feel 100% confident even executing an SQ methodology because you would not know if you derived it correctly. So you probably actually wouldn't put in the time to execute double or triple. And double or triple may take, dude, it might take like 80 hours a day. Like, who literally has time to do for 80 hours a day? Ain't nobody got that time. So after understanding all that, you've decided, screw that. I've decided to be a first mover. I'm going to be the first one to use SQ methodology in my city. And so if that's you, shoot me a DM. The hospital is closed for new patient intake at the moment. So even if you wanted to work with me, you cannot. But when I open up the hospital for new patient intake, then shoot us a DM and we will see if you qualify for using our S cubed methodology.